tears. A chiral allergy. So, you have dooms, like me.
So how we're planning on doing this is we're going to talk about Death Stranding one episode at a time.
I guess, like, to clarify before we start, like, I finished it and you're on chapter... Like, we're playing through basically in the order that you're doing it. So you've beaten chapter 1.
Exactly.
Yeah, whereas I'm at the end, so we have slightly different perspectives on it.
Okay. So, Richie, what am I looking at right now?
An Brutus mug?
No.
Your notes?
In my hands. No, what's in my hands?
An outline?
No. What is this, Richie?
Are you clapping?
What? No! I'm opening and closing the case for Death Stranding.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
My apologies. I should have known.
Okay. I'm looking at the cover of Death Stranding because I wanted to say
I'll get
something.
the cover as well.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
So, as you can see, the image on the cover is very detailed and very realistic looking. You can see like the wrinkles under his eyes and like his eyebrows and stuff, like his mustache. He seems to have some gray mustaches, but no gray hair. I can see like a couple of pimples, some dark circles under his eyes. His eyes are a little red too. So it's really cool. I really like this cover. Well, let me ask you, did it make you think of anything else when you saw it?
What, the cover?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't know anything about Death Stranding and I saw this cover, I would assume it was like a survival horror game, which it kind of is in some ways, but in others isn't.
Mm-hmm. It made me think a little of this.
Yeah. Why?
Well, can you describe what I just posted to you?
You sent me the cover of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Yeah, because Indiana Jones is also like looking, you know? It's like similar.
Well, okay, there's a face in both of them.
Yeah, but it's like a similar face where they're like looking off screen, you know? Like, oh, what is there? I don't know, it's a mystery.
Well, the cover of Temple of Doom makes it look like the sacrifice is happening on his shoulder. And he's looking at it like, God, how'd that get there?
Oh my God! And look, on Sam Porter's shoulder, there's this thing, and he's like, how'd that get here?
Do you want to talk about the game now?
I told you I have comprehensive notes.
You didn't tell me the notes included the cover.
Oh my God. Well, did you ask? Did you ask me? You know, that's the thing, Reggie. You don't ask. So yes, the notes included the cover. Another thing it made me think of is this. Can you tell us what I just pasted to you?
I'm about to leave. It's the poster for True Lies,
Yeah,
which is it's a face that's looking.
Look, it's the same thing. You don't think? Also, I really like True Lies. It's like one of my favorite movies. Okay. Okay, so now that we talked about the cover, the inside is pretty neat too. There's like a Bridges logo and a Bridges baby. And then on the back, there's also stuff. And if you read the back, you will learn that this is a Strand game.
Strand game means the asynchronous online from Dark Souls, but there's more of it.
So this is a Souls-like?
Honestly, that was the best part of it for me.
That's cool. Okay, so the opening of Death Stranding is a beach, and it's gray, and it says Death Stranding.
Yep.
Why are you laughing? Richie, I feel like you're not taking this seriously.
You just sent me the cover of True Lies and said they looked the same because it's a man looking, alright?
Okay. So I'm gonna give you some lore right off the bat.
Yeah.
So you know when it says Death Stranding, if you read the letters near the strands, it says Eat Standing. Did you know that?
Well, good.
You know what? So it's not a Strand game. It's a Covenant game.
You know, I was worried that this wasn't going to be very long, but I predict you're going to drag these out for a fucking eternity.
No, I'm just trying to be like, what do you call it? Like,
Yeah,
thorough.
I understand.
You know? Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you for understanding. Okay. So when the game starts off, there are several difficulties. I feel like Rich is going to kill me, but those are my notes,
Yeah.
okay? I have to follow them. Otherwise, I don't know what's happening. So there's very easy, normal, and hard.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Can you explain what difficulty level is easy?
Yes. Easy is recommended.
Is it easy?
No, easy is recommended for those who find action games difficult. You get to enjoy the
Yep.
story and experience,
Yep.
and only modestly challenging gameplay.
Yeah. So for reference, I streamed this through on easy to basically make it end in a way that I wasn't stuck for ages, because that can be annoying to watch.
Why don't you try very easy?
Because I wanted there to be some like challenge in it.
Okay.
So yeah, I for reference, I streamed the whole thing from beginning to end blind on easy, and it took about 40 hours.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing is, after you pick the difficulty, there's like a loading screen that appears, and it's a picture of a crab, but it also looks like a weird hand with deformed fingers. It's very deep, and
Yep.
it's just
Yeah.
the first like loading screen.
That's what the beach is symbolizing. It's very deep. You look at the ocean, you're like, Death Stranding is as deep as that. Her name is Bridget because she builds bridges.
Thank you, Richie. So you can also adjust your screen brightness, but then
Oh my god! This is like, give this started off with, I'm going to do chapter 1, and I said, are you going to do the prologue? And you're like, I don't know about the prologue. We're not even at the prologue, you're talking about screen brightness settings. Like, can we, I think we should probably skip to the actual game.
No, but also you just confused people because that part is not going to be in the podcast because we had to restart it. Remember?
Do we have to restart it again now?
Well, maybe with that attitude we'll have to, but no, because Rich, I was going somewhere with this.
Okay.
Okay, so after the brightness, it asks you your birthday, right?
Yep.
And you're like, why you need my birthday? And then you enter it, and it tells you that higher level of Doom's abilities have been observed in those born under constellations such as Cancer, Pisces. I don't know how to pronounce these, so you're gonna have to.
Satis, Delphinus, and Gygus. My Dooms is shit.
So we're both born under the Aries constellation.
Yes. That's why we're so compatible.
Oh.
There is another feature of the birthday thing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And we find it out later, or?
Well, no, it's just like I figured what this was going to do because he does the same thing in Metal Gear Solid 2, where it's just like enter your birthday, and then if you play it on your birthday, you get a birthday message.
Oh, that's so sweet. That's very cute. Okay, my birthday isn't for a while, but I'll try to play it then.
You might still be playing it by then.
Oh, damn.
No, I'm saying you might, because I mean, it's not shade. Like you're on chapter 1.
Oh my god, wait! Richie, our birthday's in like March, April?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's like 3 months after the new year. Oh, Jesus, that is soon. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, time flies.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen might give you some flowers. You don't know.
Oh, that would be the best. I saw him in Hannibal, and he was really good. And then you know where I saw him?
I don't
You know.
know. Valhalla Rising.
Richie, look at me.
Okay.
What movies do I watch repeatedly and then tell you about it?
The MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Is he in that? Oh, no, yeah, he's in Doctor Strange, isn't he?
Doctor Strange, yeah!
Yeah. No, I just remembered then. Yeah, he's in that.
Yeah, he did a very good job. It was very funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so after this, the new Kojima logo appears.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, Richie, what the F? For once in my life, I'm making your life easier because I'm doing the notes and I'm talking and you're like... So, what do you think the logo represents?
Didn't he explain what it represents?
Can you tell us what he explained?
No, I can't remember what he explained, but it's a character called Ludens, which means game. And I think it's meant to be like, he's an astronaut on the frontiers of, I don't know, human thought or something.
Is it Yuri Gagarin?
I think by definition it would have to be. Although in the Metal Gear Solid universe, it's the boss. The boss was the first person in space, and then Gagarin was the second.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I learned something today.
Yeah.
Okay.
18 minutes.
And then after that, there's a message that appears. That okay,
You know, like when people review movies, they don't explain the trailers they saw beforehand and like the studio logo.
well, this is a very deep game, so we gotta pay attention to details. So it says, the rope along with the stick are two of mankind's oldest tools. The stick to keep the bad away, the rope used to bring the good toward us. They were our first friends of our own invention.
Yeah.
Wherever there were people, there were the rope and the stick.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from Kobo Abe's Nawa.
Yeah.
Have you read that?
No.
I read up on it in preparation for this, but I didn't write it down and I forgot.
So you wrote down the brightness setting, but you didn't write down the source of the quote that it opens with.
Yes.
Do you remember that, like, we talked about this before, though? Because when you wanted to do, like, Death Stranding trailer discussion,
Yeah.
I talked about, like, there was an interview where Kojima mentioned the rope and stick thing.
Yeah.
And how to him, most games were sticks, and he wanted to make a game that was a rope.
Good catch, Richard. Good one. Okay. Thank you, Richie. Okay, so now the game actually starts. Are you hyped? So it starts with a narration where Sam talks about 4 explosions. The first well, let's see. What I have here is the first explosion was a bang that gave birth to time and space.
Oh, yeah, okay. He's not talking about the extinctions.
Second was a bang that set a planet spinning in that space. Third was a bang that gave rise to life as we know it. And then came the next explosion.
Yeah.
So I guess the next explosion is the one that causes all the trouble in Death Stranding.
The Great Extinction Debacle.
The Great Extinction Debacle? What's that?
You just when you're like all the trouble. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Richard. In the beginning, we see like credits and pictures of mountains and mold and like an upside down rainbow. And like it's very, very pretty, I thought. What did you think?
Yeah, it's visually very beautiful.
Yeah.
And one thing that's going to recur throughout our discussion is that I think it articulates its themes significantly better just through like world design and gameplay than it does through people talking about them.
Yeah, it like made me think of like a really high budget movie or something, that type of intro.
Well, it looks like they filmed it on location in Iceland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh snap. And also I really like the music they picked. Like it seems to fit with the setting, where the setting is beautiful but kind of like, depressing or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And also we see like Sam riding a bike in like a very rocky, whatever, mountainy, I guess, place.
Yeah.
And that's also really cool. That also makes me think very like, I don't know, action movie or something, sci-fi movie. And I really like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a note here that I don't remember writing.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing looks very high budget and pleasant to the eye. I just watched Hellboy 2019 yesterday, and it was very unpleasant to the eye. So this intro is already more pleasant than the entirety of Hellboy 2019. I'd rather watch this intro on repeat for 2 hours than have to watch Hellboy 2019 again. Wow. We're going to have to talk about Hellboy at some point, huh?
Did this remind you a little of Roadside Picnic?
Oh.
Because the areas in between the cities are kind of like the zone.
You know what? I didn't think about it, but now that you say
Yeah.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
Visually, what it made me think of right away was Prometheus.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. That's where the Iceland thing came from. Because I thought this looks a lot like the opening of Prometheus, which was shot in Iceland. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, thank you, Richie. So we see Sam, and then he stops his bike, and there's like a bunch
Yeah.
of birds behind him and the upside down rainbow.
Mhm.
And there's like dark clouds around, so you know it's gonna start raining.
Yeah.
And so an interesting thing happens, and I really thought that was like a cute detail. You see like a drop fall on Sam's hair, and
Yeah.
that makes like that section of Sam's hair gray. And it's like, so even if you didn't like watch any trailers or previews or whatever of Death Stranding, you'd be like, oh my god, that rain makes him age. Like, I thought that was like a really, really cute detail.
Isn't Sam immune to timefall though?
Well, I don't know.
Because I thought he was supposed to be.
Well, I don't think so, because here it turned his hair gray.
Yeah.
And like later when he reaches out to take the photograph, I think it leaves a mark on his hand.
Right.
I mean, I didn't play further than chapter 1, so maybe he's like not as reactive to timefall as other people.
I remember like them saying like the reason they're using Sam is because he has some factor that I can't remember if it's that he's immune to timefall or that he can sense the BTs, or it's both or neither. He can definitely sense BTs.
Well, in this chapter specifically, later he's asked to escort Igor on a mission because he can sense BTs. Okay.
Okay.
So then also this makes me anxious every time. So there's timefall, right? And he covers his head with like a hoodie, I guess a hoodie. Or like what do you call that?
It's a hood, yeah.
It's a hood, yes, but it's not covering his face.
Yeah, I was having this discussion with Neo Lucky.
Yeah.
Where it's like, why do they not just go, like, surely standard operating procedure should involve them wearing just like a full body suit if the timefall is that dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. Death Stranding wiki.
Yeah, okay.
Sam is a unique case and isn't affected by timefall.
But then why does his hair gray in the beginning?
It might be that it grays for a little bit and then it comes back again, like it's only temporary. Yeah, everything I'm seeing says that Sam is immune to timefall.
Okay. All right, cool.
Okay.
Okay, we figured that out. Thank you, Richie.
All right.
But yeah, maybe that's why he doesn't care. That's why he has a useless hood. It's like, whatever.
But the other people also don't Like they just wear a raincoat.
That's right.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to be part of the team that designed this outfit in their universe. Because even like beekeepers have a thing, on their face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure like Timefall is more dangerous than bees. So anyway, he keeps riding off, and there's like, we see an invisible monster approaching type deal. And I think around that time, we also see like birds falling from the sky and like aging. And that's like really, really creepy. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it looks like it's like time-lapse footage of a corpse decaying.
Yeah. It was,
Yeah.
It kind of makes me sad that I actually followed the game before playing it. Because like, you kind of know what's happening. And that's why I prefer to like go into games blind, whether it's games, movies, cartoons, series.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I feel like it's like too much, a little bit of mystery's gone.
Yeah.
So then anyway, so to run away from the monster, I guess Sam has to like jump over a cliff on his bike, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know if you noticed that before that he looks in the distance and there are like 2 deers that are trying to jump over that cliff, and one of them doesn't make it, Richie.
Mm.
And later you can find that deer down the road. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. I do remember it now.
I thought that was like an interesting detail.
Yeah.
Mhm. And something really interesting happens here too. So Sam, he like jumps over the cliff, right? And then he hits a lady with his bike. And I was like,
It was the first big laugh, yeah.
What? Laugh? What?
Yeah, I just burst. It was like slapstick comedy. He's just driving and then just splats into this woman. It's like, oh.
Oh my god, really? I was anxious. I was like, oh my god, is this a hit and run? Did we kill someone? I was, no. Oh my god, I was nervous.
Look, she's fragile, but not that fragile.
I was nervous because I thought we killed someone. And then, like, once, I think right after, and after that, his bike falls over the second cliff and he's like, damn. And so this is where you can control him. And so, like, I was, like, looking around for the lady and I'm like, oh my god, where is she? Like, is she okay? Can we help her? And you can't find her, right? It's very, like, anxiety-inducing. So this is where you take control of Sam. And the first thing I did, because, again, I read some of the interviews, I jumped off a cliff to see if he dies or not.
Good. What happened?
Well, he didn't die. He went into what's called a seam.
Yep.
And basically, it's like this underwater place, but there's also a text that appears that explains that Sam is a repatriate.
Yeah.
Meaning that he can return to life from the place known as the seam when killed.
Yep.
In the seam, follow the strand to guide Sam's soul to his body to bring him back, which was really neat. And like you could see Sam's body under the water, and there was like a golden strand coming out of it, and you could either navigate to it or you could like autopilot to it.
Yeah.
And then,
because a strand is something that connects people.
Yes.
But when he's on his own, he is stranded.
Okay. Thank you, Richie. But then, so once you resurrect, there's a cool little animation. Could you describe it, Richie?
I can't remember because I barely died in this. Is it just him going, oh no, the camera goes down your throat and there's a baby inside. And the baby gives you a little thumbs up.
Well, no, in this one, it's not a baby. It's like a doll.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't die until after I got the baby, so.
Really?
Oh, that's actually really interesting because you see the doll later on, and I guess that happens when you don't have BB. Because there's a part later on where you're disconnected from BB and you die in a cutscene.
Mm-hmm.
And they show you that doll, and it's meant to be a big reveal. But I guess if you died before getting BB, you also get.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay. You found like I guess it's like an Easter egg because you're not meant to die at that point.
Well, how are you not going to die at that point? There's a cliff.
You don't have to jump over it, though.
But how can you resist when you're like, oh my god, they say he doesn't die, let me test it out? Like, I would assume this would be everybody's natural reaction to jump off a cliff.
I'm a little worried about you.
Thank you.
Imagine if you had a peanut allergy. You'd just be wolfing down bags of them in game. Look at this!
Who would ever do that?
No, you wouldn't turn down. No one would ever do that in real life.
Thank you, Richard. The most recent thing was that I wanted to make the sauce.
Can we just go on with Death Stranding? It's been half an hour and we're at like 30 seconds into the intro.
Okay. Okay, so we're alive again at the same spot. I'm pretty sure that where you died, like strands were created in that place.
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, that's cool.
I think so, yeah.
So, Richie, since we're on the topic of the seam, can you tell us a little more about what the seam is?
Well, I think...
Oh, wait, sorry. Do we find out about it in Chapter 1? What it actually is?
Well, I don't know, because first thing you did was jump off a cliff, so you got this in slightly different order than most people.
Okay, well then let's not talk about it just yet. Maybe we'll talk about it in Chapter 2. It's okay. We'll talk about it when we talk about it. We'll cross that bridge once we get there. Yeah, the bridge. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Another thing that I noticed is that when you're resurrected, you vomit, and you vomit like oil and water bears. But then the water bears float in the sky, but also you can catch them and eat them.
Yep.
And they're called cryptobites in the game. And when you eat them, the little text tells you cryptobite consumed, blood levels restored.
Yep, because your blood is your hit points.
Mm. So cryptobites are like Estus flasks?
Well, the Estus flask would be when you can buy blood bags that you equip to Sam's suit, and those automatically heal him when he's damaged. The cryptobites are... The blood bag restores all of your health. Cryptobites restore a small amount, but they're connected to the online system.
Okay.
So, yeah, I guess I don't know what order you want to talk about. I guess we'll talk about magic piss when we get to the next city. But, like, cryptobites, are part of the magic piss system in a way that I think is very interesting.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So I have here a thing that says random things I noticed. So there's an animation like in Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2 when you stand too close to the cliff, you go, whoa.
Yep. It happens in Sonic the Hedgehog as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Also, the ground is actually slippery in certain places, and you can like glide and you can like fall.
Yeah.
And I thought that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they make a big deal out of different parts of terrain being slippery. And you equip gloves and boots that affect how much you can grab on and how much traction you have. And both those things wear down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so like they made just traversal into the gameplay. Like this is not like you just point somewhere and then move in that direction. You actually have to start considering like terrain elevation. You have to consider like slipperiness. You have to consider like the angles you can climb up, things like that. Also, you have to consider things like balance and how fast you're moving, and that really becomes the game. It just becomes about traversal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richie. So basically, Sam finds this cave to wait out the timefall, and a cutscene starts, and that's the cutscene we've seen in the trailers.
Yep.
And this is where he accidentally drops a picture, and he tries to pick it up, but then timefall falls on his hand.
Yeah, the rain is washing the past away.
Yes. Yeah. And then another drop falls on one of the people in the picture.
Yep.
So you can't tell who it is. So that's like, again, a little mystery there.
Well,
That's cool.
it's Sam. The picture is Sam posing with a woman who is pregnant, and then the time
Yeah.
ball drop falls on the woman's face and it disappears.
Mhm.
And like,
Yeah.
at that point, it's sort of. I think it's pretty clear what's going on.
No, you don't know.
All right. Okay.
Well, I mean, like, theoretically, that woman could be like, his like spouse, or maybe it's like his sister or a friend,
Well, it's
or like
both of them together, and it says "Be stranded with love," and she's pregnant. So I think it's.
no. But in that, I don't think you see "Be Stranded with Love" yet in that scene. I think you only see it later when he meets
Okay, you
his
see it
mom.
later in this chapter.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I'm just saying, in this moment, it could like, you don't know.
Okay.
And yeah, and so this is when like also Sam gets like, I think, a tear and like a rash and goosebumps, and that's basically what happens when, you know what, maybe you'd be better in explaining that.
Okay. Sam has a factor called dooms. I forget what dooms stands for, but it's written in all capitals. It may not stand for anything. And because he
Okay.
has dooms, it means that if BTs are near or timefall is near, he can sense it. And
He can sense
yeah, he
timefall?
can sense timefall and he can sense BTs approaching. That's why he works as a courier, because the BTs can't like sneak up on him. He knows when they're coming.
And what about like the vapor that comes out when he breathes? Is that part of it?
I think that's just his breath, but like they do make a big deal out of Sam's bodily fluids being magical later on, so he might have magic breath.
Okay, thank you, Richie. And so a cool thing that happens here is like the monster's nearby, right? But we don't see it. All we see is like these footprints appearing on the ground or wherever, and like filling up with like
Aren't they
liquid.
handprints? They make a huge point out of hands, like throughout the whole game.
But I mean, I was using footprints as a
Okay.
general prints thing. Like, some prints are left on the ground, and I found that really cool. Anyway, and this is where he also meets a girl named Fragile.
Yep.
And like both of them can sense monsters, and whatever, they have to stay quiet so that the monster doesn't notice them, and then the monster
Yep.
leaves. And basically the next thing they show is like the scene where Fragile and Sam are looking out the cave, and they see like these 5, I guess, figures in the sky.
Yep.
And that's pretty mysterious because we don't know what is that. I don't know. Pretty mysterious. And then it says prologue, Porter. So does it mean that was the prologue, or is the prologue starting now?
It means the prologue starting now, so that was the pre-prologue.
So here we find out a few things about
Yep.
the woman that Sam meets. Her name is Fragile. She also has a similar thing like him.
Yeah, she has dooms.
Yeah, she has dooms, and she can, I think
Yep.
she can see BTs as opposed to just sensing them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Different people have different levels of
Yeah.
dooms.
Yeah. And she also mentions that like most of her body, like except her face, was submerged in timefall.
Well, we find out later on exactly what happened.
Okay.
But basically, yeah, she's wearing a like suit that covers her whole body except her face.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a point where she removes one of her gloves, and you can see that underneath that her hands have like deteriorated. They're all like melted and scarred from the timefall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she says she basically doesn't have much time left because the timefall's taken. Like she's basically almost dead because of the timefall.
That's sad.
Interestingly, she is the opposite of Quiet from Metal Gear Solid 5.
How so?
Because Quiet in Metal Gear Solid 5 was like the female lead in that, and she copped a fair amount of criticism because her gimmick was that she breathes through her skin, so if she wears clothes, she will die.
Right.
So she has to wear a bikini top everywhere.
Okay.
People were
Yeah.
unhappy with this, so I feel like Fragile might be a reaction to that, where he said, "Okay, it's the reverse gimmick, and she has to stay covered all the time."
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. And also, she's wearing a jacket that says, like, I think Fragile Express on it.
I think it just says Fragile. Oh, yeah, it says Fragile Express, yeah.
Her name is Fragile, and the company is Fragile Express. She asks Sam to come work for her, and he's like, no, just delivery guy. Sorry.
Yep.
I guess that means she's her own boss. It's pretty neat. It makes you wonder what do they deliver?
Will you find out later on?
I like it. I like when they're like little mysteries in a game. It's like makes you want to play more. So basically, both Fragile and Sam have dooms. He has the extinction factor, but Fragile has him beat. Sam can sense them but not see them. We also find out that his level is 2.
Right.
Do we find out more levels later?
You find out other characters who have dooms, but I don't know if they ever specify who is at what level.
Okay. Another interesting thing is that Sam heard of Fragile before, and she heard of him too. Like, I think he explicitly says that he's heard about her, and then she calls him, like...
Yeah.
Sam Porter Bridges, the man who delivers.
Yep.
So, like, I guess they're both pretty famous in the field. So this makes me wonder, like, in this universe, do you just, like, pick your own name at some point?
Well, no, Sam's name isn't Sam Bridges. He takes on the name Bridges because he works for Bridges.
Okay.
So presumably, like, Fragile might not be her. It's like a code name.
Is it like, you know, back in the day or whatever, like if you were, I don't know, somebody who worked with metal or whatever, your name would be Smith?
I think it's more like an army code name that they're given.
Okay.
Because you find, like, there's other characters with ridiculous names, and you find out later on that, like, those names were specifically chosen for a reason.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, T. So, basically, after they have this conversation,
Yep.
like, Fragile shows off her, like, freaky umbrella and then disappears.
Yep.
And one thing I forgot, yeah, so when the cave cutscene starts and Fragile is there, you're like, oh my god, that's the woman I hit on the bike. She's alive, she's okay.
Yeah.
And then she disappears, and it's like, so there's a little mystery, like, what's going on there? What's happening? So I like that as well. I guess my best guess at this point would be that she, like, teleported? Fast traveled somewhere?
She can teleport, yeah.
I feel like the freaky umbrella has something to do with it, because, like, why would anyone have that?
It's a combination of the freaky umbrella and, like, it's to do with her level of dooms, basically.
Cool. Okay. Excellent. So another thing, okay, I want to ask you something. You know, sometimes you see strands go up into the sky. So is it only, like, people with dooms that can see those strands, or everybody?
I think it must just be people with strands, because the people with dooms, because the strands are, like, part of the BTEE thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we actually talked a bunch about, like, Fragile and Sam in the past, and about her getup and how it looks like that magnetic thing when we analyzed the trailers. So anyway, Sam goes on his way because he actually has a package to deliver. And this is really interesting because as you start walking, there's, like, a background music that starts playing. And it does feel like a movie, you know? And I thought that was really neat.
Mm.
What? Why?
I'm just remembering the ending.
Okay. No, I really like it because, as you know, I listen to a lot of copyright-free music, and sometimes. And what?
Well, it was causing issues for people streaming it because a lot of like the music in that is just licensed music. It's like
Yeah.
basically Hideo Kojima's Spotify playlist. And as a result of that, like people were getting their streams muted and copyright claimed because of the music that was playing at certain points. I think Twitch was muting them, but we were on YouTube.
Okay. Yeah. But yes, I was saying, I listen to a lot of copyright-free music, and that's how I get my like lore ideas for solo lore. So I really appreciated like the music
There's
here.
a copyright-free track called Ludwig Killed Maria. And you're like, that's it.
What a bully. Thank you, Richie. Oh, it actually reminded me of another song. Have you? You startled me.
It's going to be a long evening, so I'm just pouring out something.
You never played Skull Monkeys, have you?
No, but you keep talking about it.
Yeah, because at some point there's like this very gentle song. When you go into like a secret room, I thought like that song could totally fit into Death Stranding. Okay. And so Sam delivers his first package, and it's to a lady called Mama.
Yep.
Yeah. This is funny because at work we give each other nicknames, and my nickname is Mama Russia, and
Right. Not Sinclair Canada's snack.
no. But my coworker that used to work with us, we're still in touch. Her name was Mama China, and then
Right.
my other coworker who's still there, she's Mama Italy, and then you get the
How
idea.
much of this is going to end up on Patreon?
I don't know.
We're an hour into it, and we just got to the start of the prologue.
I have a lot of notes. I told you I took notes. It's comprehensive notes. So anyway, so we deliver our package to Mama, and she's like, "You're late," and you're like, "I know, I'm sorry." And she's like, "Okay, but the cargo's okay, so it's okay." And you're like, "Okay, bye." And she's like, "Bye." So it's cool. And then
We just went through like an hour of every single frame, and then you're like, "So you deliver the package?" And she's like, "Okay, cool, bye."
do you have something to add?
Did you write down what was in the package?
What was in the package? I don't
I
remember.
don't remember. I thought you would have written it down because you've written everything else down.
Was it like some medicine or something?
It's probably medicine.
There we go. Mystery solved. And oh, I forgot this, but from time to time, you'd see like a thing pop on screen that would be like something, Hideo Kojima.
Was he involved in this?
Yes, he was. Okay, thank you, Richie. So then there's like a special message that appears like on screen, I guess, or whatever, on hologram. And like this adorable vehicle comes to pick up Sam. And it's so cute. I love it. Like I imagine Reborn driving it. It's so cute.
Yeah, the mecha design is very, very good in Death Stranding. It's Yoshi Shinkawa again, and all the technology designs are like really top notch, and I wish there were more of them. Also, okay, the delivery was something called smart drugs. Okay, I don't know what smart drugs are.
Okay.
I guess they cure bimbofication.
Thank you, Richie. So basically, there are like these two people who come to see you. Well, actually, one person is driving and the other one like comes to see you. And the other person's name is Igor. And Igor is there with a special request. So they're asking Sam to help them get a dead body to an incinerator before the body goes into necro. And it's already in the first stage of necrosis. what does that mean? I don't know. So let's talk about it.
Okay, so in the nightmarish future of Death Stranding,
Okay, yeah.
when someone dies, they start to turn into a BT, basically. The invisible hand monsters that are chasing you. And the only way to safely dispose of a corpse like that is to incinerate it. Because it's to do with the particles of what are called chiral matter in the body. So you have to incinerate the body in order to just get the chiral matter out of it. But the incinerators themselves have to be very, very far from the cities. Because if you burn the body too close to the city, the chiral matter just goes into the atmosphere above the city, and the problem doesn't go away. So this person they talk about, it's someone who committed suicide in the city. And they start to worry that it might have been a deliberate attempt to like destroy the city by calling a BT from that person's corpse. They start to worry that it's a deliberate act, a deliberate suicide, that person knew they would become a BT, and it's an attempt to destroy the city. So you and Igor and the unnamed driver have to go and dispose of the corpse, and they're specifically part of a group called the Corpse Disposal Team.
Yeah.
So there's a whole group of people whose like whole job it is just make sure there's no dead bodies around the city.
And that's really cool, I found. It's like spoopy, but really interesting. And actually, now that you're saying it, it's reminding me of The Walking Dead. Like, I didn't really watch it, but I had a friend who did, and apparently when you die in The Walking Dead, you become a zombie automatically.
I've never seen it.
That's what I remember being told. So,
Okay.
yeah. Anyway. So yeah, and BT is basically like a general name for the weird oil monsters and stuff.
Yeah, it means beached thing.
Oh, and another thing, I like that bit. There's basically we notice that Sam doesn't like to be like touched. And then Igor briefly mentions like that oh yeah, like in your file they do say you have some kind of phobia. And so like you could miss it, but if you just like pay attention, you're like, I wonder what it means. And if you like Google "don't like to be touched phobia," you'll have like articles and stuff coming up on what it is. So Richie, can you tell us a bit about the phobia Sam has?
Well, he's described as having a real phobia, which is called aphenphosmphobia, and it is just a extreme negative reaction to being touched.
So yeah, I thought it was really cool how like you can notice it, but also they subtly like insert it and mention it. And at this point, I was like, "Oh, it's cool," because like if you don't pay attention, you could miss
I've got
it.
news for you. You're never going to miss anything in this game.
Thank you, Richie. Okay. So basically, Igor and the unnamed driver and Sam are on their way to dispose of the body in their adorable truck. And then, like, Igor's like plugs in the baby. And you're like, what is that? What is happening? And then Igor's like, oh, this is like creepy. And Sam's like, yeah, like you are plugging into the other side. So it's like, ooh, what does that mean?
Well, I'm glad, that there's I think, 45-minute cutscene that just explains every detail of it.
Okay. I don't think it's in the first chapter, is it?
I don't remember what chapter is what.
I know a little bit about the babies and stuff because we did watch that trailer. But again, like it would have been so much more pleasant for me, like if I didn't know anything, because I'd be like, what the F? How is this happening?
Well, okay, whose fault was that then? That you decided we had to record a whole lot of Death Stranding trailer like reactions?
I don't know.
It wasn't me because I was saying I didn't want to.
So they're going to the incinerator, and Igor mentions something interesting. He talks about how the world was different when he was a kid, how America was a country, and like anybody could go anywhere they wanted. There were no need for couriers like Sam. They had highways, like they had airplanes.
Yeah.
They could even visit other countries.
This gives us a hint at the timeline as well, because Igor remembers this from when he was a child. So the whole Death Stranding void out situation is like, it's within living memory. It's maybe like from between like 20 and 40 years ago.
Yeah. And Igor, he's maybe in like his 40s or so.
Well, okay, this comes later on, but you can get a letter from Igor. One of the emails that actually specifies Igor is younger than he looks because he operates in time form.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then Igor's like, Death Stranding poked us full of holes. If you were lucky enough to survive, the time fall came and washed you away. Okay, yeah, and we already know about the time fall, so makes sense. But then he says, then those freaks from the beach showed up, the world of the living and the dead all mixed together. And that's when folks started holding up in the cities, and careers like yourself got put on a pedestal.
Yes.
So again, that's interesting. Who are the freaks from the beach?
Well, probably the horrible, like, hand monsters.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah, maybe it's, yeah. So they're on their way to the incinerator, and can you tell us what happens then?
The body in the back of the truck begins to necrotize, which means that it starts to expel this black tar substance that becomes part of the game world later on in more detail, the idea of the black tar. And it also gets a golden mask starts forming on its face, which is also a gameplay aspect later on when you start fighting BTs. And that is like Sam tells them they got to hurry it up because the corpse is about to pop. And that is the cue for the BTs to start bearing down on the truck.
Mm-hmm. But that specific instance or incident cutscene we've seen before because it was one of the trailers.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Although,
yeah,
during the part where the BTs are chasing you, you have the ability to look around in first person when you're in the truck. I thought that was very effective, because you can't actually do anything. You just know something is chasing you, so you start scanning around looking for it, looking for little signs of movement and things.
I agree. It was very scary because you couldn't do anything. And you're like, okay, where are they? What's going on? I agree. It was very effective. And also, if you look around, you could see a town nearby or whatever.
There's ruins, yeah.
Well, not ruins, like an actual city or whatever.
Well, the city that they're leaving.
Yeah, but you could still see it, and it's still in your vicinity. And you're like, aren't we supposed to be leaving the city? Couldn't we go faster? I don't know. It just made me anxious, being like, we're still here. How long till the incinerator? You know?
Right.
Basically, a few things happen. The body rolls off from the truck, and then, like you said, the skull appears on it, and then it gets eaten by the ground or whatever.
Yeah, when the BTs appear, the ground turns to tar and starts sucking things underground.
Yeah. Very spooky. And also in the scene, we noticed that Sam's blood interacts with, I don't know, BTs or something.
That's a key plot point that we'll get into later on.
Okay. And there are different kind of monsters around. There are the ones who are floating, the ones that are coming from the tar. There's a giant one. And I guess all of them are called BTs?
Yeah, it's a general term, just beached thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guy who was driving gets pinned under the truck that crashed. But the horrible thing that gave me so much anxiety is his face is exposed and timefall is falling and it's falling on his face. And you're like, oh my God, somebody cover his face, because it was so bad.
Well, yeah, you see him age very, very rapidly. His hair grays, his skin starts wrinkling.
Yeah, it's just... And
Well, I mean, we'll get into the exact mechanic. There's a part, like in another chapter, I guess, where we'll talk about the exact mechanics of timefall because it's
okay,
yeah.
Like I think they said it fast forwards everything it touches.
It does, but it also like I'll.
It's okay. We'll
I'm
talk
not.
about it
Yeah.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then, basically, the friend who was basically the guy who was pinned under the truck gets dragged away by the tar.
Yeah.
By the tar monsters, I guess. And that's when his partner Igor like shoots him to kill him.
Yeah, he tries to kill him to stop him being taken. Well, do you want to explain void outs then? Because this is like the whole point of what's going on.
Yeah. Okay, explain void outs.
Okay, if a BT, this is the whole point behind like the person killing themselves to become a BT. If a BT successfully like kills someone, pulls them underneath that tar, it's like a matter. The way they explain it is it's like a matter antimatter reaction that like it's the world of the living and the world of the dead collide with each other and it just explodes. So the idea is you want to get rid of the BTs because if a BT catches someone, it's like a bomb goes off. So the person who they're disposing of was essentially they were a kind of suicide bomber where they shot themselves, or however they killed themselves inside of the city, so that a BT would from their corpse, and then that would grab someone, and then that would destroy the city.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam, because he is a repatriate, the explosions don't kill him, but they will destroy everything around him. So that's how the game, like, you can't die really in Death Stranding. You always come back because he's got this repatriate thing. But it means that basically if you go off too close to something that's important, or you go off and you've got fragile packages, then that's how you sort of screw up the mission because the explosion takes it all out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Igor shoots his partner, I guess. Yep. But he gets grabbed and he tries to kill himself, but he doesn't succeed.
Yep.
And so Igor gets eaten by like a giant BT who has like hands for a head or whatever. And that causes a void out.
Yeah.
What I thought was kind of, I guess, endearing is that, like, as this whole thing is happening, Sam is sort of just standing there and he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
But the only thing he did do is, like, pick up the baby, the little baby in the cap. That was very sweet.
Yeah. Well, okay, in Sam's defense, BTs are attracted to movement. So I think he's trying not to alert the BTs by being as slow as possible.
No, but also, like, in this situation, what do? Like, you kind of like, well, we're kind of screwed, I guess. Like, I don't know. Feel like there's not much anyone can do. Oh, but another thing we forgot to mention is during that cutscene, we saw another person sort of float around briefly with a red baby.
Well, he has a red pod. You don't see what's in it.
Oh, we don't see? Okay. Okay, so a red pod. And that's also another mystery. Like,
you realize you didn't actually mention what the baby did.
Oh, yeah! Bridget, tell us what the baby did.
So Igor gives Sam the baby. What the baby does is it's in an artificial womb capsule, which when you plug it into your suit and it interfaces with a flashing radar thing. What it does is the baby acts as a means to detect the BTs approaching.
Yeah.
Because it's got a connection to the other side, which is where the BTs are. It's able to sense them. So that's why you have a baby stuck to you. And there's I mean, this isn't like a spoiler, but there's parts of the game where you are separated from the baby. And you have to, and if you develop there's a series of mechanics that govern like the baby's health and Sam's relationship with the baby. And it's possible to like if you like I guess we'll talk about it now. Like if you get damaged or like Sam is hurt, you just lose blood, like it's health. But the baby can also become stressed. If you start falling over and like getting void outs and things, it can affect the baby.
Aww.
You then, if the baby is stressed, its performance lowers and it stops working as effectively. And also, if you if the baby is like the pod is damaged too much, the baby gets something called ototoxemia. And if that happens, the baby just shuts down. And you have to get the baby healed.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of mechanics that involve like your relationship with the baby. You can actually remove the baby from the suit and you can rock it to sleep and things like that. And that will make you have a stronger relationship. And the relationship you have with the baby affects like you get little scenes that we'll see later on. That involve the baby, and those scenes are kind of contingent on your relationship with it. So if you're very nice to the baby or very mean to the baby, you will get like different scenes in different orders.
Oh wow! Why would you want to be mean to the baby?
Because you're trying to finish the game as quickly as possible.
No! Oh my god! No, Richie. Okay. So basically, thank you, Richie. So as we were saying, Igor got eaten by a giant BT, and that created a void out.
Yes.
And so the next thing we see is Sam wakes up on a beach. I think that's the first Death Stranding trailer we saw, where he like wakes up on the beach and he's like naked.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then he also sees a baby, and then he hugs the baby, and then like he's sad, but then the baby like turns into the
creepy
the
Hellraiser
oil.
doll. Oh no, that's later on.
What? Oh Jesus! No, it turns into the oil and then it like crawls off, but like it's invisible and it only leaves oil marks behind.
Yeah.
But here again, I guess it was kind of subtle because you
Oh
could
my
miss
God.
it if you, what?
I was sitting here thinking she's not going to fucking say that subtle, is she? Like, it's pretty subtle. I mean, this is, I want to be clear, the least subtle video game ever made. Okay, David Cage is watching this and just shaking his head like that's too much.
Who's that?
He made Detroit Become Human.
Oh, I didn't really play it. Thank you, Richie. But I was saying, if you don't like pay attention, because we know that Sam has a phobia of being touched, but yet he hugs the baby. You know what I mean? Because if you read about it online, they say like it could arise following some sort of trauma or something, and then you're like, okay, wait a minute. There's a pregnant lady on the picture, right?
Yep.
And like he hugs the baby without problem, but he looks very sad. So maybe like that was his wife, and maybe like something happened to her and the baby, and that caused Sam to like develop his phobia.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened.
Like it's not necessarily in your face if you're just playing it for the first time and not like paying attention, you know?
It's subtle if you aren't paying attention.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, and then yeah, so Sam is on this beach. Sorry, let me look at my notes for a sec. So yeah, so Sam is on the beach, and then like so the baby crawls off, and I think Sam follows it, but then you can see there's this cross on his stomach, like
yeah, it's like an
like
incision.
Yeah. And also in the sky, you see, I guess, the same figures as before.
Well, maybe.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know, but like they're more like because before they were more translucent, and now they're like silhouettes type deal. So I guess you can see them more clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like they disappear, and the words "Death Stranding" appear on screen.
Yeah.
And then like a blonde woman singing "London Bridge is Falling Down" is there, and she's wearing like red. And she goes into water, and then Sam follows her.
Yeah.
And there's like a bunch of like dead like
whales.
sea life.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of dead whales and like
things are beached.
Yeah, crabs and stuff like that. But there's also like these giant umbilical cords there too, or whatever. So that's pretty spooky.
Yeah, lots of things in Death Stranding have umbilical cords that otherwise shouldn't. And it becomes part of the plot around, like, the mid-game.
Oh, and another thing you see is that Sam is wearing tags, but I don't think he's wearing them like in the real world or whatever, you know? Unless it's under his clothes, but I don't think so.
I don't. Yeah.
So that might be significant. I don't know. Anyway, so then as he's following the lady, he falls into the water, just like you would fall in water when you like kill yourself when you jump off the cliff.
Yeah.
And like he's in the seam now. But this seam is different from the first seam. It's more like open space. There's like grass, little rocks and stuff
Well,
around.
the scene that you end up in is based on the place you died.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, and now like when you resurrect, instead of a toy, it's a real baby that like gives you a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And then you get like a vision. And in that vision, it's like I don't know his name in game, but it's Matt Mikkelsen.
You're not
and
supposed
he's
to
talking
know
to the baby.
who he is yet.
Okay. And he says like, "Bibi, can you hear me? It's Daddy." And then you're like, that's another mystery. Like, is it this BB's like father, or is it someone who's like, you know,
Well, yeah.
saying he is? I don't know.
They go into a bit
Like-
more about this later on.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, so then Sam wakes up, vomits some tar, eats some water bugs.
Yeah.
And then he notices that there's a crater.
Yeah.
And it's like, darn.
Yep.
And then you also see like strands come down from the sky into the crater, and you're like, ooh, I guess these are people who died, huh? So it's just like really depressing, you know? And then Sam says, one, there was an explosion, a bang which gave rise to life as we know it, and then came the next explosion. An explosion that will be our last. So maybe the fourth explosion was an explosion similar to what just happened in front of us. But we don't know. It's a mystery.
I can't wait till we get to the final chapters and characters are just explaining things directly to camera, and you're still saying, it's a mystery. Like, this beats you over the head with what it is about so hard that, like, I've actually forgotten parts of it because there's just this constant overload of, like, here's what this means.
Thank you, Richie. Okay, so then we see Sam, and he wakes up in some facility, and he's handcuffed to a bed. And we see like a dream catcher around his neck, but no tags. So that's why I think it's weird. Like he has tags when he's like on the beach, but like a dream catcher when he's here. I don't know. And then we also see like tears roll down his eyes. So, oh yeah, I forgot if we said it, but basically,
it's chiral allergy.
Yeah, tears are also chiral allergy. So you start thinking like, oh my god, there are monsters in this room, right?
Right.
It's spoopy, but then it says episode 1, Bridget.
Yep.
And you find out it's not a monster that's like giving Sam an allergy. It's actually like Guillermo del Toro, aka Dead Man.
Yeah.
And he talks to us and he lets us know a few things. So Dead Man is a doctor.
Oh my god. This is episode 1. God, we just got here.
Yeah. Yeah, what's up?
Christ. No, okay.
Why did you scare me, Rich? You know I'm easily startled.
I thought that was the end of part 1, and you're like, and then it says episode 1.
Well, that was a delayed reaction. What the F, Richie? Okay. So, what was I saying? Okay, so Deadman is a doctor, and he used to be a coroner, and I guess that's why he's called Deadman.
Well, we'll see. They do tell you explicitly why he's called Dead Man later on.
Ah, okay. Excellent. So Deadman explains that Sam is currently at Bridges, and like the handcuffs aren't really handcuffs. They're basically like a sort of a Pip Boy, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe like Apple Watch? Fitbit? I don't know.
Fitbit.
Yeah, because it like tracks stuff, you know? Right?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like a Fitbit with a 24-hour surveillance, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think Deadman does say, like, we'll be watching you, you know? He's a little creepy, I'll be honest. I think he also, I don't know if it's now or later, he's like, oh, you're really interesting. I took some fluid samples. I hope you don't mind. And you're like, I do mind, sir. Deadman also lets us know that Central Knock was obliterated in the annihilation, and then he's like, game over, man, and then game over appears on the map behind Sam.
Yeah. And it's in the same font that it was in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, that I didn't know. That's cool. Basically, yeah, so like we were too close to the city when the explosion happened, everybody in the city died, and now this is the new, like, I guess, central location or something? The new
Capital
base?
Knot, yeah.
Okay. And also, like, on the table in the room, you see, like, it's not Legos of, like, what happened, but, like, you know, like, green soldiers?
Yeah, they're like
to
army
control-
men. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you manage to collect any of those when you played?
What do you mean?
As you go through the game, you know, the like private room that Sam rests in.
Yeah.
As you go through it, I don't know what the exact criteria to unlock them are, but he gets more and more of the green models, like behind his bed and on his table.
That's cool. I'm pretty sure Kojima tweeted something like that at some point. I don't know if it was necessarily with, like, the army man, but, like, I'm pretty sure there were, like, 2 dolls in a truck.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay. But then, okay, something that I kind of rolled my eyes at a little bit. Deadman is explaining something to Sam, and then he's like, oh, what does he do? He tries to shake his hand or something. He's like, oh, yeah, I forgot. You have... And then he names the phobia that Sam has.
Aphenphosmphobia.
Yeah. And it's like, it took away a little bit from the cool thing in the beginning where it's like it's something you could miss and you could be a little confused about Sam's behavior at times.
This is the problem I have with the game in general, honestly, with the storytelling. That it will like deploy something like Sam doesn't like being touched, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is fine as this like high concept metaphor for like he doesn't like connecting with people. But then like throughout the story they then explicitly connect it to certain things. Like they'll say it's not just he can't just be someone who doesn't like being touched. He has to have a specific condition called aphenphosmphobia, which is a real thing. And I feel like, and it happens later on with some of the files you find that start talking about like people's reactions to sex and stuff. That instead of just saying like people are living apart now, they go into this whole like attempted sort of pathologizing of it that I think is not great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little like they could have left it out.
Well, if you don't like things being explained, you're going to love the next 38 hours.
Security. I think that's why I loved Bloodborne so much, because it's like things are there, but like you can miss them if you don't pay attention, or like you have to play multiple times to be like, oh, how did I miss that the first time? Like, you know, it was interesting.
Well, because that has stuff like Gurman's Curious Mania, which they mention they don't tie it down to one specific thing.
Yeah.
And if they had have tied it down to one specific thing, it like would have stopped working. Like if you're working with metaphors, then like the whole point of like I'm working with a high concept, like clearly not real SF metaphor for something, is that you're trying to get at it in a way you can't by just describing or naming it. And I feel like it would have been a lot stronger had his ideas about like societal breakdown and lack of connection just been explored via strange hand monsters and people living in fallout shelters, as opposed to actually stopping and saying, it's this, by the way.
Okay, thank you, Richie. I think here he also mentions that the bridge baby is defective.
Yeah. Specifically,
Yeah,
your
and
unit is called Bridge Baby 28. And there is something about it that is defective.
And it's cute because they don't call it bridge baby, they call it BB. It's like, oh, it's a BB.
No, you have to say it in Guillermo del Toro's voice. BB.
Yeah, thank you. And then Deadman goes on to explain that he's not really here. He's a chiralgram. Ooh. Well, I didn't see that coming, honestly. That was
It
like
was
a
in
nice
a trailer
surprise.
that we looked at before the game came out.
Oh, I forgot. So it was a nice
Okay.
surprise. But then at this point I was thinking, maybe like what's her name was also Kylogram? Fragile?
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Well, they do specify later on what the deal with her is.
Yeah, because that would kind of explain why like she disappears and also we hit her on a bike and she doesn't care. Okay. So yeah, and also it's interesting that you know how it's like you hear like about like chiral energy and like chiral stuff in the atmosphere and stay away from it. And here they are like, well, this is a chilogram. And you're like, are you guys like using that stuff
Yeah.
in your technology?
Yeah.
So I don't know. It feels like sketchy, you know, where it's like, oh, I don't know. Should you be doing that?
From the chiral
That
network.
cause trouble? What?
The chiral network. The whole game is about a chiral network.
Oh, I don't know if I remember that or if I'm there yet. But yeah, I'm just saying it's a little sketchy. Like, I don't feel comfortable with this. You know, because then you start thinking, like, did this whole thing start?
Yeah. This is the part that worked for me, though.
Yeah.
'Cause I remember when the trailers were coming out, people were saying, like, oh my god, it's weird hand monsters and, like, magic rain, and everyone's living in shield cities, and what's going on? What could possibly, this doesn't make any sense. Question mark theory real. But, like, honestly, the way that he basically just said, like, okay, this Death Stranding thing happened, it had these effects, and this is how people, like, dealt with them, is, like, completely consistent throughout. It, like, none of it confused me. And you find out later on that, like, people do other stuff with Timefall and everything, because it's just like, this is a resource that exists now, what can we do with it? I feel like this is sort of what I meant, that, like, he just says, like, he can just throw around, oh, that's chiral technology, whatever, and just leave it at that. And you don't need an explanation of exactly how chiral technology works, but then other times he will stop, like, and quite ponderously go into detail about something that we also didn't need to know.
Okay.
And yeah, it's very strangely paced.
Okay. But for me, what I found sketchy, at least like, because I'm in the beginning of the game, it's like, is this just like something weird happened and this chiral stuff is a side effect of it and you're just using it to your best advantage? Or did you guys start messing with it and then it messed everything up and you're still messing with it, you know?
Yeah.
I guess it's something we'll find out later, but also a little mystery.
Yes.
Yeah. So then I think Deadman tells us that the president wants to see us.
And you should know the president. After all, she raised you.
Not yet, no, though. You're going too fast.
I wish this game would go faster.
Like, this part was a little weird. First, he's like, hey, the president wants to see you. Could you, like, bring the president some morphine? Like, they're in the last stages of cancer. And then Sam is like, you guys have morphine over there. What do you really want me to do? And then Deadman's like, you're right. The president just wants to see you. And it's just like, what was the point? You could have just asked him to go. Like this ruse was not very good, Deadman.
But Sin, he's disconnected. Someone's got to be the rope.
Okay.
Imagine if Kojima found out about rope bridges. His mind would just explode like, oh my god.
Thank you, Rich. Sam agrees to see the president, so he goes like across the street to the other building where the president is, and we get like a little tutorial about stuff.
Yeah.
And the president is in the isolation ward.
Yeah.
And when we go there, we meet the real Deadman. And that's when he tells us, first, it seemed like at first Sam didn't even know there was a president, so he was very surprised. And then, like, Deadman says, she wants to see you. And then Sam's, like, surprised that it's a woman. And then the third surprise is that Deadman's like, you should remember her. She raised you. And it's like, whoa, what? And so then there's a fourth surprise. When Sam enters what looks like the Oval Office, somebody explicitly says, it's your mother. I feel like it's a lot for Sam. I feel like...
Well, I watched this back, and it actually, like, took on a different meaning later on.
Well, that's why, like, you don't know it's his mother yet, because anybody could have raised you, right? That's why it's like... I feel like it's a lot. Like, there's a president, it's a woman, she raised you, it's your mother.
This is what I meant about strange pacing, that they spent a very long time explaining how chiral grams work. And then, by the way, the president's your mother.
Yeah.
It's the one line.
Yeah, basically.
And also, if people know that, like, surely someone else could have mentioned, like, maybe when Fragile was talking about how Sam is a legend, she could have... Or perhaps looked at the photo and was like, oh, your mother is the president, or something like that, rather than unnamed Surgeon A.
Yeah. But also here is, it's actually, this is where I think we meet Diehard Man for the first time. He's the one that tells them that the president's his mother.
Can you explain, if people are curious, which character Diehard Man is?
He's the character with the mask on his face.
Uh-huh. Can you describe the mask?
I think you'd do a better job, I guess.
Diehard Man, that's his name.
Yeah.
He is a man, and he wears a skull mask that covers some but not all of his face, and in no way alters his voice. So...
it alters his voice?
No, it doesn't alter his voice.
Okay.
So, not to spoil anything, but if this were revealed to be some form of disguise, it would be an extremely inept one.
Is it?
You'll have to find out yourself during the 3-hour ending sequence, in which someone who watched the stream was able to go outdoors, do the gardening, come back in, accidentally break their door, go to the shop, get supplies to fix the door, come back, fix the door, watch the stream again, and it was still going.
Okay, well, it's interesting that you say that, because in my head, I thought the reason Diehard Man was wearing a mask is because, like, he got a lot of time fall on his face, and, like, he was, like, hiding it, you know?
I thought it was going to be some, like, chiral breathing thing.
How so?
Well, because I don't know. At this point, I'm assuming, like, it's some sort of life support system or something like that, because it doesn't... it's clearly not a disguise. It's like Superman putting glasses on level of disguise.
I can't tell anymore.
Well, you'll have to finish the game and find out.
I will, but I'm just saying, until I heard you right now, I was really sure it was because of timefall.
No. Well, no, you can see, because it doesn't cover most of his face. You can see that, like, you can see through it. You can see his eyes and everything, and they're fine.
Yeah, but, like, timefall fell on specific parts, so he's hiding those parts, you know?
Okay.
But thanks for spoiling that, Richie. So, I wonder who it can be. I don't know. I guess I'll find out. Okay.
The other thing is, like, in the scene where the BTs attack the corpse disposal team,
Mm-hmm.
the guy who, like, appeared to summon the BTs had a similar mask, but it was gold.
Yeah. I noticed that too, but like I thought about it, but then I thought no. No.
All right.
Like they're not connected. That would be a little too like literal,
I got news for you. Everything about this game is very, very literal. To the point where there is a character who writes their name in the sky and then points out what all the letters mean.
Thank you, Richie. I feel like, you know what? We should get Kojima on one of our Runes of Bloodborne episodes.
No.
Because, like, you know how I make you explain, like, every word?
Yep.
So I feel like he'd enjoy that.
Well, no, he'd probably hire me to write Death Stranding too. We need you to explain every single one of these words to Norman readers who will then go,
Thank you, Richie.
what's a pronoun? A definite article.
Here we also find out that Sam and Diehard Man know each other from Bridges 1 from 10 years ago. And
Yeah.
Diehard Man might be a repatriate. Is that how you say it?
Repatriate, yeah.
A repatriate? Because he says, look at us, a bunch of deathless freaks meeting like this.
Yeah, like for reference, like repatriation is if you die in another country, your corpse is repatriated back to your country that you belong to.
Oh, that's a real word?
Yeah, that's why they call it repatriate, because the idea is you die, but then your corpse is reclaimed. But it's literal and you actually come back to life.
Okay, cool. Interesting. Thank you, Rich. I didn't know that. So I think the president's name is Bridget?
Yes.
Yeah.
No. Her name is Bridget America Strand.
Is that her real name?
That's her name.
Bridget America Strand. So America is her middle name?
Hang on, I have to... Wait, no, that might just be her daughter's middle name. Hang on.
Okay.
Let's get the Death Stranding wiki up. I think she might just be Bridget Strand.
Bridget Strand. Okay. And she's voiced by Lindsay Wagner.
She's voiced and performed by Lindsay Wagner.
Yeah, but she looks like older than
No.
like the real Lindsay Wagner.
No, the real Lindsay Wagner is 70.
What?
No, it's the other way around. We'll just mention the woman on the beach, right? In Sam's beach visions.
No, we're not there yet. I need to.
We saw her already.
No. We
Okay.
saw her from the back. We didn't see her face. But also, I'm googling how old Lindsay Wagner is.
She's 70.
No way! Oh my god! Did you see her?
Yeah, she's famous. She's the bionic woman.
70? Holy moly!
Probably all those cryptobytes.
Wow, that's... Jesus. Okay. Well, I mean, IRL, she looks like much better than what we see in game.
Well, in game, she's dying of cancer.
Well, I know, but like... I wouldn't have never guessed that she was 70. Wow. Crazy. Okay. Yeah, like her and Michelle Pfeiffer too. Michelle Pfeiffer is like eternal. I don't know how old she is, but she's just like looks amazing. Sandra Bullock as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't talk about Death Stranding again, or
No, have you've seen The Good Place? The girl from The Good Place. She like turned 39 this year. I thought she was like 20.
I haven't seen The Good Place.
It's very good. You should watch it. It's really, really good. Oh my god, but it makes you cry sometimes. But it's really good. Okay, sorry. Yeah. What were we saying?
We were talking about Bridget.
Yeah, okay. So Bridget is voiced and acted by Lindsay Wagner,
Yep.
who is gorgeous.
Yep.
And she's basically, yeah, she's like, I guess on her deathbed, and she's talking to Sam and she's asking him for help. She's saying that Amelie is trying to rebuild the country.
Yep.
She's asking Sam to like help Amelie,
Yep.
but we don't know who Amelie is. And then she says that like together they can help everyone reconnect and like make America whole.
Yep.
And like if they don't come together again, humanity will not survive. But Sam is like, America's finished. You're the president of jack shit. Which is a pretty harsh thing to say to your mother who's like on her deathbed. It's not nice. And so then like Bridget like sort of grabs him and then he like resists and then they both end up falling. But that's also like a hard scene to watch because she like falls, but she has all these tubes coming out of her and I think some of them come detached.
Yeah.
And then she's like crawling towards Sam. And but in this like instance of her crawling, I think she's leaving behind like black tar or whatever.
Yeah,
And
because
it
she's going
looks
into
like,
necrosis.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it looks kind of like the monsters that you saw earlier, you know,
Yep.
that left the prints or whatever. So it was just like, I thought it was like, it was well done, like this whole thing. It was very like, you know, uncomfortable, but I think it was meant to be like very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I think would have been cool if Dead Man didn't tell you that Sam has a specific phobia and you sort of missed it in the dialogue, you'd be all weirded out. Like, why is he all like weirded out by his mother touching him, you know?
Yeah.
And then once you played it again, you'd be like, oh my God, yeah, it makes sense. He's like, you know, he like doesn't want to be touched. And so he's acting like all weird. So yeah, so in the end, she sort of like, she like anyway crawls toward him. And I think she like kind of hugs him or whatever and like dies. It's very sad. And then like the doctors run in the room and they like try to resuscitate her, but obviously that doesn't work. Before she dies, she actually says like, I love you, Sam, and I'll be waiting for you at the beach. And as she says that, she turns like into her, I guess, young self for a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not literally, but metaphorically or whatever. Oh yeah, and we finally, which you were mentioning earlier, because Sam drops the photograph again, and you can see that it says like "Be stranded with love." So, you can probably pretty much assume that the pregnant lady was like his spouse or something.
Yeah, it's good that like they again go into all this detail about like the technology of this world, but then Sam's dead pregnant wife is just literally, if you look her up in the wiki, she is just called unnamed pregnant woman. This is what I mean, that like if it were very, very minimalist and you just had that photograph, it would be one thing, but then like we have that photograph, it's very significant, but it's not explained, but then other things are explained in just agonizing levels of detail.
Okay. Thank you, Richie. So then what happens is like, again, it's so uncomfortable because Deadman and Diehard Man are talking to Sam and they're like, no one must know the president is dead. Like, this can't get out or we're finished. Also, Sam, you have to go incinerate her body. Like, it's his mom. Like, she just passed away. And like, he's like, you know, he's probably shaken up. And you guys are like, okay, don't tell anyone this happened. Go incinerate her body. You have a contract with us. Go do it right now. It's just like, F you guys. They didn't even like leave him time to grieve or anything. So, what did you think?
I don't remember any of this. I just like,
Okay.
yeah, that's happening.
All right.
I mean, it's like, I mean, it's not very nice, but like, what is the tone of this supposed to be? Like, is it Sam's reunited with his mother who's dying of cancer, but then there's also a man in the room called Diehard Man wearing a skull mask, and Guillermo del Toro who's called Dead Man who's shuffling around going pee-pee, pee-pee. So this is the thing, like this scene is like, it's very like quick and to the point. Like, here's the information you need to know. But then other scenes drag on for an eternity. And it's like the pacing is just so strange.
Okay, thank you, Richie. So yeah, so Sam has to like carry his mom to the incinerator.
Yeah.
And this is where we experience more gameplay, because we have to walk there and like she's the package, which is like really depressing.
Well, yeah, this is a more like effective way of like dealing with like his mother's death in game than the cutscene was. I mean, it's like, again, it's not subtle, but it is like it works as this very high concept thing where like he is literally like carrying the weight of his like dead parent, and he has to like climb a mountain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the gameplay, even though you thought I wouldn't necessarily enjoy it because it's like complicated and hard, I think it's fine, at least so far. Like it's pretty.
Well, you haven't got to the snow.
Oh my god, Richie, I live it. I live the snow every day of my life. So I think I can handle it in a video game.
Do you have to carry antimatter bombs on toboggan to work, though?
Oh my god, do you know how many things I have to carry to work? Have to carry a tablet, I have to carry like these papers, the clipboard, like, oh, I didn't tell you. So I fell twice last week. So one time I sort of just slid on some rocks and then I just kind of fell over. But it was okay. It ended okay. Like I fell over gracefully, but luckily I fell on my elbow or something, but I didn't like injure it at all. So that was a lot of luck.
All right.
Yeah.
Does the fact that you spend much of your everyday life falling over in the snow make you does that make Death Stranding feel like you're like, I can do this, or does it just make you feel like, for fuck's sake, I have to deal with enough of this? I don't want to do this again.
I can do this because I don't actually injure myself in Death Stranding. It's all Sam, I'm fine. And like the second time I fell, I got a little scared. It's because there was like, what do you call it? Like ice rain?
What, hail?
No, ice rain.
Sleet.
I don't know, but basically, anyway, there was a very thin layer of ice on the ground, and it was like invisible. It's super slippery, and you can't see it. So I was exiting my place, and I looked at the stairs, and I was like, "Okay, there's no ice here,
Yep.
but I will hang on to the rail anyway, just in case." And like I just literally took a step and then I slid down the stairs, but at least I was kind of like, I don't know, lucky because I kind of fell on my butt and just slid down the stairs on my butt and I didn't injure myself. So, hi Ingrid. Yeah. So you see, I put myself in danger every day.
Yeah.
So it's okay. This is fine. Trying to think. I don't think I had any other injuries this week. Anyway, what were we saying?
I knew the next thing would be what we'll be saying.
Are we at the incinerator?
Yeah, this was you. You're on your way to the incinerator, and you were talking about
right. Okay. Is there anything interesting that happens on the way to the incinerator?
There's something that happens when we get to the incinerator. I guess, like, okay, no.
Yeah.
The interesting thing that happens is that you can see leftover ropes on the cliffside. And this is to, like, get you into the idea that like, this is an asynchronous online thing, where if you use climbing equipment like ropes or ladders, they just stay there, and it means other players can find them and use them. The ones you find here they're pre-set there, they're not actually online, and they're from Igor.
Yeah, like there's a ladder, there's a rope.
Yeah, and if you look at them, it will say from Igor. Yeah, so that's to just cue you in that like you're going to find stuff from other players lying around that you can use for traversal.
So Sam gets to the incinerator. And basically he, like, you know, I guess cremates his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also like really sad because it's like, I don't know, that's hard to watch, you know, when you're like, oh, to cremate his own mother. But then we see like chiral matter released into the atmosphere
Yeah.
and like an upside down rainbow appear. And then I think, does someone call him and tell him that like beryllium density is increasing?
Isn't
Or
it Dead Man?
I don't remember. I guess so, yeah. And then I think Deadman also tells him to get rid of the capsule baby because it's like defective and it can't be repaired, but it can't survive outside the
Yeah.
pod. And but like Sam is hesitant, and in the end he doesn't do it. And that's when BTs show up.
Yep.
And then Sam gets an idea. What's that idea?
Is it just to leave?
Yes. Yeah, but he like no, but dude, Rich, you know, he's like, I got an idea, and then he like plugs the baby in.
Yeah, he uses the baby to power his BT detector so he can sneak past the BTs. Yeah. Now, we dealt with this in very different ways.
Okay.
So this is our first BT encounter in the game. BTs are attracted to movement and they are attracted to breathing. So if you try to run through a BT area, they will run to you, they will find you. But if you're, like, say, on the outskirts of a BT area, it might be worth risking it and running because you might be able to get out of their range before they find you. The breath mechanic is you can hold down one of the buttons, Sam will hold his breath. The BTs won't be able to detect you if you've held your breath. But you can only hold your breath for a limited amount of time, obviously. So the way you're supposed to navigate the BT areas at this point, because we don't have any other way of dealing with them, is that you use the BB scanner thing to pinpoint where they are, and then hold your breath and very, very slowly move past them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I managed this okay. I just sort of went around and they didn't find me. You had a somewhat different experience.
Yeah, well, I wanted to know what happens if they detect you.
Right.
And so basically, I think like a bunch of them come to like pull you, and then a big one shows up.
Well, we need to explain one actually that's not, like, it's more complicated than that. Because the BT attacks have multiple phases to them. So the first thing that will happen is if a BT detects you, you hear a sort of noise, like a sort of, and then the jets of tar start shooting up from the ground. And they start moving toward you, so you see this line of tar just shooting up in the ground, making like pointing toward you. It's possible to avoid that. This is why I mean, like, maybe sometimes you want to run. So if you can get away from that, fine. If that catches you, the ground around you becomes a huge mass of tar. And these strange, like, half-formed human sort of, like, ghost things start coming out of the tar and grabbing you.
Uh-huh.
So this is like phase 2. You can still get away from it. And I think this is dependent on your difficulty level, how hard this is. But basically, like, it's like climbing any terrain. You just have to, like, manage your stamina and try to get away from them because they're trying to drag you under. So you have to, like, use the controls that let you balance and the controls that let you grip to basically shake the BTs off you as you're getting out of the tar. If you can get out of the tar, fine, they can't move from beyond the tar zone, so you just stand there and they'll eventually disappear. If they grab you, it goes into full, like, BT hell mode, where the tar zone expands massively. It's so large it actually shows up on the map if you go into the map, so it's like suddenly the size of a city is just tar. The terrain during the tar phase, like buildings and cars and things will start being regurgitated out of the ground. So the terrain becomes completely unstable. You'll see, like, rocks, bits of concrete, old vehicles, things like that will start bobbing up and down like islands. You can grab onto those to stay stable, but because they're bobbing up and down, eventually they will go under again. You have to find something else to grab onto. While this is happening, a very, very large, like kind of boss entity BT will spawn. And it depends on where you are in the game at this point. It sort of looks like a dolphin with a squid's head. And that will start chasing you.
Yeah.
So your goal at this point is to just get the hell away from the squid thing. And you can still survive again by just getting out of the very large tar zone.
Mm-hmm.
And if the large BT pulls you under, that's what triggers a void out. So basically you have like 4 stages of a BT attack that you can try to get out of. And if you screw up all 4, then it triggers a void out. So I was able to get through it. I think I only triggered like 2 or 3 void outs in the game, because it gives you a fair amount of like leeway to get out of them. And also later on, you will get weapons and things like that that let you deal with BTs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richie.
So you got dragged under by the squid.
Yes.
And it blew up.
Yes.
Yes.
It was cool.
Do you have anything else to add? Like,
yeah, there was a crater.
Yes.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. I tried to go inside the crater, but it doesn't let you.
That's a shame.
Yeah. A little disappointing.
Yeah.
So you make your way back to Capital Knot.
Yeah.
And as you walk back, there's like some background music that appears again. Which is again neat. I like it. It's cool. Oh yeah, and then when you come back, Dead Man informs you that someone who has dooms should not be hooking up to a BB.
Yeah.
Because their memories and feelings cause feedback, like with a speaker.
Yep.
And I guess that's why, like, Sam is having like memories or visions from BB.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. But then Sam doesn't listen to that, and he plugs the BB in again, and he gets another vision.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Mads Mikkelsen being like, "Don't worry, it'll be okay. I'll always be with you." And it's very like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think he sang a song to BB in that vision as well.
Yeah. This is what I was saying about your relationship with BB. Where the nicer you are to BB, the better connection you have, the more of those flashbacks you get.
That's cool.
Because it's like your connection increases, so like your memories get shared better, basically. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Richie.
And this also ties into the birthday thing, where if you put your birthday in, you can get a birthday flashback, where you get it like given a cake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anyway, Deadman is like adamant that you have to destroy BB, but then
BB.
Why you scare me, Richie? Okay. Thank you, Richie. But Sam is like, no, this BB like saved our life.
Yeah.
And then Deadman says something, and then Sam is like, go fuck yourself. I'm not your errand boy. And in that moment, I connected with Sam. Because it's like, sometimes people push you around and they like ask you to do these things. And like, especially for Sam, like, he just found out his mother is the president. Then his mother died. Then he had to carry her body to an incinerator. Then he had to incinerate her. And now, like, Deadman wants something. It's like, fuck off, bro. Give me a minute,
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, good for you. Good for you, Sam, for standing up for yourself. Yeah, so in the end, BB doesn't get incinerated. And I'm glad Sam stood up for it. And I guess Sam is back in his room and he has a dream. And the dream is he's on a beach and he's a kid. And a woman in red comes to him and says, "It's almost time to go, Sam." And I'm not sure if he's crying or he's just like his eyes are covered. But anyway, she kneels next to him and we see that it's young Lindsay Wagner. So the woman that kneels down next to Sam when he's a child. She says, "Here, it's a dream catcher. Wear it when you sleep, and I'll keep the nightmares away." And I think that's how the chapter ends. And it's like the same dream catcher we see on him like multiple times throughout the chapter. So that's chapter 1. Do you want to do the outro?
What's the outro for this? Build bridges by hitting the like button.
Thank you, Richie.
Oh, hang on. I found out Sam's unidentified pregnant woman's name is Lucy.
I guess press F for Lucy in chat.
Okay, I just realized she has a really long entry in the Death Stranding wiki, but I don't remember like when any of this is actually in the game. I think it must be like a file that I didn't read.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Is that it? Can I press stop now?
Please.
All we want is loving. We can't hold this token.